Welcome to the Inside Integration Podcast. My name is Chris. I'm joined, as always, by my friend Jayson.
What's up, everybody?
And Jayson is fresh back off of a manufacturer junket, I would say, in Austin, Texas. And between bites of barbecue, he saw some pretty spectacular things.
Yeah, it was pretty fun trip. I have to say thank you to the folks at Samsung for flying us out to Austin, Texas. I got to stay in the beautiful Fairmont Hotel in downtown Austin, so right by the river there. If you've ever been to the city, fantastic. And it was certainly an event to say the least. Like high production value, multiple suites in the hotel gallery and ballroom and all of that stuff. So basically, Samsung rented out the entire hotel and brought in people from every vertical in their business all to Austin for one big show. So it was like going to like a kind of rah-rah sis boomba sales convention meets gallery of everything that Samsung makes. And when I mean everything that Samsung makes, they had
oil tankers. Is that what you're saying,
man? I mean, they had hard drives there. Like Robert and I were walking around and we saw all of the memory, and we immediately were thinking of Chris wanting the highest speed hard drive that he could get his hands on. They have one there that's like 200 megabits per second or something like that. Or just like, okay, like 4 terabytes. You know, how much is this thing? I think it's like $200. You know, the back of your head just pops off because I remember the days of buying iOmega, 512 megabyte hard drives for $700 a crack or whatever they were, right?
As somebody whose computer time spans everything from 3.5-inch floppies to 100 meg zip disks that you'd get you plugged them into the printer port. Right now, and that's the thing. Like the terabyte that's on my Mac is completely depleted with video files and bullshit memes, and essentially
you'll never fill that up.
Yeah,
Chris. I remember looking customers in the face in the computer department in the mid 90s and going, dude, a 250 megabyte hard drive, holy crap, what are you going to do with all of that?
You know how many Leisure Suit Larry games you can into this thing? Sure, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so now I use a 4 gig external. It is basically mated to my Mac at all times, and it's fast enough to just use for video editing and everything else. So it's good to know that now we've got a partner that has we've got some kind of a deal on these things.
Literally they make everything, dude. There was appliances there. There were microwaves and like countertop stuff and ice makers, and just the breadth of their product line just objectively is so deep. And they are not there to just occupy the space. They are there to dominate the space. They're pretty clear about that in some of their messaging and their product strategy, right? You look at every vertical that they're in.
Yeah,
they're one of the biggest players in it, and that's by design. So
I'm personally excited to see some of the synergy between lines. Like one day I need a frame microwave. Like that's what I'm excited for, is that, I walk into my kitchen and, it's a picture, but there's a burrito inside and it's cooking.
Yeah. Well, they had decor refrigerators and stuff. So, at the level of some of the built-ins that you'd see from a big Viking or some of those really high-end luxury appliance brands, there was a panelized wall that we were looking at. You couldn't have told me that was a refrigerator. It looked like, I thought it was like literally storage cabinets. And then you start opening up these doors and it's like, that's a thing you can just buy. And it's like, yeah, you can buy the whole wall unit, and it's got the microwave incorporated. It's got like hidden screen in it somewhere. So, you're talking about that vertical kind of integration, or that cross-platform integration. I mean, they have AI fridge, they have AI microwave, AI washer and dryer. And you'll be able to link all those things together through their smart hub and their product line, and it'll all be able to talk to each other, which is
so you say
crazy.
You say smart fridge, and the first thing I think of is the part of Silicon Valley where Jin Yang brings the smart fridge into the home, and the guy hacks it to say "suck it, Jin Yang," and then that piece ends up becoming the savior of Pied Piper.
Right.
And I can't wait for that future. I'm excited. I'm excited for the meme refrigerator to really make its presence known. But yeah, I mean, they're massive, and it sounds like, one of the things, I mean, we're kind of looking at this thing with giant plate sized eyes is because,
sure, yeah,
in the custom integration space, there's no Goliath that's like that, right? Like, yeah, Sonance is big, Origin is big, Sony was big, right? But like
big companies, there's no question.
Yeah, this is an exponential thing.
This is a multiplier of all of those companies put together, and it's not like it's not like Sony isn't a big juggernaut financially in some of those things, right? But when you're talking about just the strategy of how they're going to market, it's not to occupy the space, it's to dominate, right? It's share, it's we're going to run this baby. You can we need a strong number two, but we're here to win this kind of thing. That's kind of their whole MO, and from a again, from a cold-hearted capitalist perspective, it's kind of sexy. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of go, wow, like, all right, this is a big deal.
That's cool.
But yeah.
So what kind of, so aside from the fridges and the oil tankers and the Kia, they make Kia, right? Isn't that their?
I'm not sure, man, but there might be something in there.
So what kind of CI stuff did, because their CI line is pretty, I know everybody knows their TVs and everything else, and I'm really trying not to turn this into a commercial for Samsung. I want to get your experience,
Yeah, the experience of it, really, the CI stuff is just the large format flat panels, I think, are going to, if they're not already attractive enough, they're just going to continue to be more and more attractive.
Yeah.
Like 115 inch, ready to go, stick it on the wall.
Comes in a box, yay big. It's like IKEA.
But it's not. I mean, it's a big old box. Like, that's still like a one big box ship kind of thing.
Sure.
But, we're back to the 400-pound flat, Trinitron TV or whatever you're trying to get in and out of the house. But
340 pounds.
Like, imagine carrying almost 120 inch diagonal projection screen up staircase or whatever you have. The delivery logistics are crazy.
You would still get that one guy on your team who's like, I can hang this myself, no problem. Just stand back, everybody stand back. Look at this wingspan. I can hang this thing on the wall, no problem. And
that guy was Hector on our team.
I was going to say we had a James.
We had a Hector and we had an Eric. And Eric was basically like a tree, and you just sort of hung stuff on Eric, and Eric could make it happen.
It's just the one guy that sees the size of that box, and he just rubs his hands together and says, "It's my time to shine." And
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
about as wide, as wide as my head, from the head, down directly to his shoulders, but it was like tapered, like kind of like a cobra, just a big,
like a bit of like a point. You mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So he was a triangle. He was like Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls. Anyway.
Yeah, if you mix a square and a triangle together, that's what my guy was like. But
right on.
Yeah, the large format panels, the outdoor displays that we saw, of course, all relative to custom. The new Frame Pro product, again, very relevant to custom.
See,
high picture quality.
Yeah, that's the question. I think everybody's kind of wondering is, what do you know about the Frame Pro?
Yeah, well, what I do know.
What can you talk about?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can talk about the whole thing because I didn't sign an NDA.
Oh,
so
okay,
we're good. But all of the inputs are going to be up to 165 gig or megahertz. Excuse me. There'll be all ARC and all of the wireless connectivity with Wi-Fi 7, I believe, between the display box or the wireless connect box and the TV. You'll have screen sizes up to 85 in the Frame Pro. So very compelling offering for the design-oriented crowd out there. We did see some of their soundbar offerings that are designed to work with the Frame Pro. So very slim, low-profile thing.
Right.
Like, honestly, you'd be hard-pressed to convince me at a glance that was actually a speaker. It looked kind of like a piece of trim.
Defies physics, right?
I was like, okay. And then, of course, they've got new little subwoofer, and then they've got those wireless art frame speakers, and I'll put wireless in quotes because everything needs a wire.
Well, yeah, because power, right? Power's a
Yeah,
thing,
because electricity does stuff.
We're not. Nikola Tesla has not figured out the wireless transmission of power yet, but okay.
And the transformers haven't landed and started producing energon cubes. You know what I mean? Like
Samsung's 2025 line runs on energon. You heard it here first, right?
I mean, in the 80s, that was the most futuristic shit ever.
Oh, hell yeah!
I mean, amazing. But the other stuff that they showed, of course, the wall. So we saw it down to 0.6, which is freaking mind blowing.
Ridiculous.
And yeah, flagship displays. So, I mean, Samsung's, eggs are clearly in the video display bucket. And relative to custom, there's going to continue to be layers of choices. They've got it, oh, you don't like red? We've got blue in XL, double X, triple X, whatever you're looking for.
Sure.
They're making a hat for every head out there.
I mean, they have some very, I mean, I remember as a dealer, they have some very interesting things that, like, I think at the time I was kind of like, why would, like, the Serif, right? Like, I don't even know if that's still a thing, but like, it's basically an easel TV and it's
sure,
whatever, but like design focus, there's absolutely people who are into that, and to be able to do that with a TV, pretty slick.
It touches a crowd, or it touches an audience that it's just a solution that you'd have to go to something really expensive, like a B&O or whatever, right? Like you'd have to go
if it even exists anywhere. Sure, yeah. There's
if it even exists. Fair point.
Nobody's out here making bespoke TVs, right? It just you just could not build something like that at the Leon facility.
It's not New Vision. It's not Luva. We're not in those days anymore.
Luva, holy shit! Wow. All right.
I'm just gonna show how many rings I've got in my tree. I've been doing this for a long time.
You just hook your Luva TV up to your video request or your Escient Fireball, and you're all set, man. You're good.
Man, you are ready to go, cowboy.
These are the formative years of my life.
Mine is a professional as well. When you have imposter syndrome, just like, oh my god, wow, everything in this building is super expensive. I don't know anything about any of it, but I'm going to act like I do until I figure it out. So there we go.
So one of the things that you were texting me incessantly about was what? Did we lose you? Are you still there?
Oh, there. I'm here. Sorry, it just froze for a second, disappeared.
Nah, you're good.
You were wonders of the internet.
Well, you never know. Like today, your signal is good. And it looks like it's sunny there where you are.
Well, you can see all of the moss on the roof of my patio behind me. So there's that for anybody that's watching at home.
You're developing your own hobbit house, and that's okay. That's completely fine.
That's what we do up here.
It's very green. Eventually it'll be shade. That's cool. One of the things you were, we were talking about was AI. Like they were really, it sounded like they were showing a lot of like AI stuff. There was a keynote, I think that was AI, right?
Yeah, that was, of all the big takeaways, like for CI, of course, video is kind of where Samsung's at, and they've got every flavor under the sun. But, associated to that was, I think, an education for me personally on what AI is kind of more about. And some of the analogies that the keynote speakers that they had talk about, this guy named, I'm going to say this slowly, Zach Cass. I know he's a futurist. He's got a Substack. He's got all of that stuff. But to listen to him talk about where AI has come from to where it's going now, in the next 5 years, I mean, literally, what we're doing in a lot of ways should be, transformed, or there should be some visual, how am I going to say this? Should be some visual representations, or it should be very, obvious that that there's a lot of things going on out there in the world that, AI can do. So some of the things that he was talking about that kind of blew my mind is that they've already done some tests where they put doctors up against AI for body scans of body parts, right? And other than your chest area, which, just requires a little bit more nuanced interpretation of what things look like in your body. If you're scanning your head, if you're scanning your extremities, your arms, even like your lower pelvis, As long as they're not looking at your heart or your lungs, AI has a much higher batting average of determining exactly what is showing up in a scan, whether it's benign, whether it's cancerous, what the possibilities are, because it's got all of those doctor learning models built into it already, right? So
Right.
you've had real intelligence contributing language learning models and some of the threads that AI uses to give you answers and give you information, but at a level where it can analyze pictures and tell you really what's going on. So as a test, when I got home, I loaded up my chat GPT and I started asking it questions about the hot rod.
Hmm.
And I was like, hey, having problems getting the spark plugs out of the hot rod here. What do you think? And AI chat GPT starts giving me information back. It's like, you could upload a picture. So I took a picture of the engine compartment of the hot rod,
Hmm.
and it could determine that the work had been done cleanly, and it called it out. Hey, that's a really clean install. Hey, those MSD spark plug wires are the right ones to use, so heat really shouldn't be an issue. So you should try X, Y, and Z, and if the boots don't come off, you can pry them off with a screwdriver or this special tool.
Hmm.
Uh, all of those things were kind of new to me,
Pretty wild.
but the fact that you could kind of go back and forth with this thing, again, brought me back to the conversation and this keynote that this guy shared with us. His advice to everybody in the room really was, you should be preparing your children for being the kind of the guy in the elevator back when elevators came out. So he told a story about the Otis Elevator Company. I don't know if you've ever heard this story before, but around the turn of the agrarian society into the Industrial Revolution,
Mm-hmm.
Otis Elevators was a company that made grain elevators.
Mm-hmm.
And as they started to build skyscrapers, like, hey, wouldn't this be cool to have one of these in a building?
If you could move
and
a
you don't have to
grain,
go up the
you
stairs.
could move a person.
Right.
Sure.
You could move a person, right? So they start selling these elevators into these skyscrapers, and they come back to find out, or they're getting phone calls or they're getting contact from the building owners like, dude, we put this thing in the building and nobody's using it. Like, what do you mean? Well, they still prefer the stairs. What are you talking about? So draw this analogy out to eventually Otis started putting people that were in the elevator, not because there needed to be somebody in there to operate it, but to show the rest of the world out there that it was safe to use the elevator.
Right.
And he used the analogy of, this is where AI is going, and we're in that phase of, you probably need a human inside the elevator to make sure that other people out there realize that this is safe and this is a tool that they can use, and it's a gateway that can improve what they're doing in their lives. So obviously where we're at generationally with AI and with our kids and what have you, his fervent advice was, even if you don't send your kids to college, make sure that they understand what AI is, what AI can do, what it can't do, and make sure that they're the Sherpas for our generation, older generations, but also the upcoming generation. So that was like a pretty major, major takeaway, kind of mind-blowing conversation and a real analogy. And of course, I'm immediately looking this guy up. He's one of the originators of ChatGPT 2.0. Right. So
I thought you were going to tell me
foundational level.
I thought you were going to tell me that I started looking this guy up, and he's an actual GPT himself, and he doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
Like,
no, he was really there.
hologram.
Yeah. Well, and it was strange. Like in the presentation, he even said, like, I have 30 minutes to share my life's experience with you with AI up to this point, and it's going to be really difficult, but kind of here we go. So he was really just trying to draw out where hypercomputing is going, what AI has discovered, even as they're updating the models now. Like Microsoft apparently discovered a new element when they fired up their Chat GPT, when they fired up their AI.
I saw that. That was their quantum computer or something like that.
Yeah, exactly, their quantum computer. And I think subtly maybe he was telling me to buy more NVIDIA stock. I don't know. But
that's the pledge, right? Is like
there is going to be hardware out there that's going to be required to host all of this stuff. And actually, that was one of the other things he talked about, is the cost of hosting AI has fallen dramatically.
Right.
So where the nodes and stuff that they had to run before was, somewhere on the level of, $100 million per however many people, it's down somewhere in the $100,000 per for more people, right? So the ratio has swung dramatically. So the
Hmm.
actual computing cost and the electrical cost and the processing cost to host the AI is falling at a precipitous rate. So
Interesting.
it's going to be ubiquitous. I think you can't hide from it. You are interacting with chatbots out there. You are talking to AI, even if you refuse to use a cell phone. you're running into it on the internet or wherever. So really
Yeah.
impactful takeaway from that keynote for
Well,
sure.
and I mean, the thing that's going to drive it, the thing that's probably going to drive it more than anything, and as amazing as literally it's magic, right? Like AI, it really, once you start getting into it, it seems like it's magic. It sounds like you had that experience with the car. I mean, we're really going to see this take off because it is orders of magnitude less expensive to have an entire flock of AI people that replace live actual people, and that's what's going to drive this whole thing. Unfortunately,
Right.
that is really what's going to lead to our dystopian future. It's not going to be the Star Trek future where we're all
Listen,
free to be artists or whatever. It's going to be the dystopian future where we're all destitute because
we're living on universal income.
I mean, yeah, you're being generous if you think universal income is even going to be a thing, but okay.
Well, hey, I'm hoping for the best here,
Hey,
Chris. I'm
man.
saving for retirement. What can I do?
Yeah, well, you could throw that out the window.
Yeah, well,
You and
I'm
I
never
are
going to
not those
retire.
people, right?
No, you're right. You're right. Damn it.
But
I play one on TV though.
I think that's the thing, and I think your point of it's right to be a little bit skeptical of this stuff, but at the same time, it is coming whether we like it or not, and it's being driven by the desire to increase profits every single quarter. That red line's got to keep going up, and nothing is going to stop it. And AI is another way to squeeze more out of that rock. So, it's coming.
Yeah, well,
be ready.
I think one of the takeaways that I got from that too is it's going to be complementary. I think it will give us the ability, or at least from Mr. Cass's perception, it'll free you up to do a lot of other things that you wouldn't normally have to do. As far as make sure you send an email to this or book an appointment for that. Like some of the scheduling of your life
Sure.
At a certain point could become pretty automated. And another thing that he was talking about is that technology eventually will not be in a candy bar in your pocket. It'll be something that you're wearing, right? That was another thing. Like wearables is a huge future point and something that other parts of the world have picked up on.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much here in North America. We love our little candy bars.
It's a thing, and you're right. It's gonna go away from the phone form factor. I mean, I could tell you, I was never a watch wearer. I got an Apple Watch. It is as part of me as it can be. If it's not there, if I'm not getting phantom buzzes because I'm reminding myself of something or whatever, yeah, it feels like I'm lost. My wife just for her birthday got one of those. It's a ring. I think it's like an Aura ring or something like that. And same thing. Like she wanted this thing. She did her research, and it's a pretty cool device. But yeah, you're right. Wearables are where this is going. People who wear glasses like us, like that's probably going to be the next. That'll be the next frontier where this is something that we wear every single day, and we're never without it. And yeah, if you could bake technology into it, get the batteries small enough, make it ubiquitous enough, it is going to happen.
Augmented reality, got some crazy GPS popping up on your eyes, or what are you looking at inside there?
All I want with that, because my memory is fucking fried, right? Is I want a system that will help me remember people's names as I see them or meet them again or whatever. And like that would be groundbreaking, right? That'd be earth shattering. If there was a system where, it's doing facial recognition on all the people that you're passing, and, I know that guy, I can remember that guy's name, I can do whatever. Like that's where this thing's going to take off. It's stuff like that. It's these little helpful, like slide it in a little further, right? Push that envelope a little further.
Just let me see what I can get out of this. But it was crazy to hear, his perspective on it. And I think, I would encourage anybody that's listening to this to just check out Mr. Cass and just listen to one of his little spiels about AI. Really, really compelling, really smart, obviously really smart guy. But, his delivery, kind of at first started off a little kind of weak because I think it was frankly kind of a rough crowd. Like,
Hmm.
there's a bunch of 50-something, we'll just say average middle-aged folks in that room that hear things like AI and
bunch of old salespeople, right? Like, let's be real.
"Rawr."
It's a bunch of old sales guys.
Yeah.
That's, sure. Okay.
They bust out the torches and the pitchforks when they hear computers coming for them, right? So it was a bit of a rough start, but man, he turned it around. And again, I came away really impressed with that whole take, and honestly kind of inspired to learn a little bit more about the bots and the AI models and what this thing can actually do, because that's where the money's going to be. That's where the opportunity is, right? As soon as change happens, that means that there's a something you got to pivot to, or something you've got to learn.
Yep.
And he had some big takeaways, and I had them written down somewhere, and I can't remember exactly where that's written down right now, but one of those was you need to embrace change as one of your core philosophies in business.
Sure.
And of all of the things that I took away from his presentation and the talk that we had there was like embracing change, being authentic, being adaptable.
Man, that sounds like the topics of our last 10 episodes.
Wow,
okay.
Literally, I was like, dude, there's multiple podcasts that I could get out of these 2 days in Austin, between the behind the scenes, walking around on 6th Street stuff to some of the higher level gray matter tickling that happened. It was definitely a good trip. So,
okay.
I would encourage anybody to check some of that out, or, if there's an opportunity, we say this, is it worth it to go to some of these events? And, I would say that was a strong vote in the yes column.
Sounds like you got a lot out of that one. So great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
For sure.
Very cool.
We had Gary V pop in for a little 65 million YouTube update guy. So that was like a sidebar. I guess we could probably talk about that on another episode, but overall pretty solid trip. And anytime Samsung wants to invite me out, or you out, or if anybody gets invited by Samsung to go to something, I'd say go ahead and go.
Hey, that's great. And it's, again, like, our eyes are as wide as saucers here, seeing the backing behind Samsung and what that juggernaut actually means. We're still getting in the groove of being their reps and all that, but that sounds pretty good to me. So what else we got coming up? Hey, we got a projector shootout coming up that I'll be at next week in Denver. That'll be fun. That's first time I'll be trying to stand that up with the new company and a different brand. So we'll see how that goes.
That'll be exciting. I was going to say, as far as announcements and things that are going, did I hear a rumor that we had a store that was available? Did I hear that this was time to do some shameless plugs before the end of this podcast?
So one thing that AI doesn't have is a line of scented candles, and we have a line of scented candles. And it's it's that, and that part of things was really born by the fact that I just want to be able to tell people that, oh yeah, I have a line of scented candles in a completely serious, straight-faced way.
The layers of jokes with this guy, ladies and gentlemen. I just got to say, I get pictures on my phone. I get random times of the day or night, just a photo of like a wife beater with a hand that said "Ugats" on it, and I made the comment like, what if you've got a hairy back like you or I, and you don't wear a wife beater anymore?
I have the solution for you.
We have a T-shirt. We have a T-shirt that has a picture of a wife beater on it that says "You get Ugats," which is a little bit more tailored to the men out there with side boob like me. So wanted to make sure that we called out the fact that,
for the more modest among us. But yeah,
Chris has done a lot of work to put this whole thing together, build a store. There's some Buffet Badger shirts in there. There's a bunch of different things. I'm sure Chris will put up a link, and I think I've already broadcast this out on my LinkedIn and stuff like that. But
yeah, we'll throw a link. I mean, essentially, and again, for what it's worth, like this, the store is the store. We barely make anything on this whatsoever.
Yeah, this is right.
This is absolutely. This is 100%. No. The store is my coping mechanism, and it gives me a place to just kind of throw up all the dumb things that I'm doing to counteract the stress in my life. And I get to
Right.
share that with all of you. And you know what? If you want a candle, get a candle. They're fun.
Yeah, you laugh it off. We got what have we got? We got that guy's van.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got a couple of candle scents. They all smell like white lavender and sage or something nice. But they're printed with that it's that guy's van, or that one guy's van. Tells a little story on air about that one guy's van and how it smells like balls and energy drinks,
Axe body spray.
yeah, Axe body spray, orange degreaser, and farts.
Yeah.
And we also have the magic smoke smell, which, if you're in this industry, you're familiar with the smell of magic smoke. You could fill your home with it.
It runs on, this whole industry runs on magic smoke.
It's true. Every single piece of it. And this is to really just kind of bring you back to, when that device failed at 4:00 on a Friday afternoon and ruined yours and your client's weekend. And then the third scent that we have is soldering, which is, it's like if you're a baseball player, the cut grass and the thing. It's like if you're an AV guy, like that smell of, brow sweat and various unidentifiable noxious compounds and, the things that you're breathing behind a rack as you're soldering those RCA cables.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Brings it right back. So yeah, we got a couple of those. We got some stuff on there. I'm adding stuff to it constantly. What's wonderful and to their own peril is it doesn't cost me anything to throw some design up there as I see fit and then send Jayson a render that makes him laugh. But
yeah,
if this is something you'd like to partake in, it's available. So
yeah, we would love. The whole payoff for Chris and I'm just going to speak for you right now, is seeing somebody wearing a Buffet Badger shirt or a Phillips Pronto shirt or
whoa, hold on. I don't know if they have the trademark on that. It is an unidentifiable generic touchscreen remote from the late 90s. Yeah, we'll just leave it with that. Yeah. Right.
It is a pillar product of the control industry circa, its foundation, shall we say, that shall remain nameless, that we make you drink every time we say the name.
It's street cred on a shirt. So
yeah, exactly. And, so again, for it was literally just to make us laugh. So if you want to make us cry laugh at an event or something like that, please buy a shirt, buy one for your kids, send them to school with a Buffet Badger shirt on.
Oh my goodness.
Let's break this shit. That's what I want to say to everybody out there that
stick
want to
one of these. Stick one of these on.
Oh
your,
yeah,
on your water bottle.
get a sweet Badger approved or not Badger approved.
There you go.
Sticker.
Enjoy.
And yeah, literally, this is not for to line Chris's and my pockets.
this is frankly just hey man, I am not on social media, so this is my social media. This is where I share memes of my own making.
Right. This is where the meme sausages get made.
Yes.
Right here, ladies and gentlemen. So we would love to see one of you or many of you out there wearing a Buffet Badger shirt or one of the other wonderful accoutrements that we offer at the Inside Integration online store.
And we'll share the link. But so we went right from plugs to more plugs, and now it's time we say goodbye. So
Plugola, baby.
Thanks for listening, and we will see you again soon.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.